السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Welcome to a new episode in our series إن أريد إلا الإصلاح ما استطعت. Today we are taking a bit of a pause on the societal reform and returning to one of the basics, returning to Quran. We are in the month of Quran, and how can your relationship with Quran be a means of true reform? So imagine, I would like you to imagine for a second, if Quran was truly at the center of your life. So it would guide your decisions, it would bring peace to your heart, and it would shape your actions and character. But many of us, unfortunately, are on the other side of the spectrum, where the Quran has become a book that is read with no understanding, a decoration on the shelf, and more importantly, a text that we turn into in the case of hardships and calamities, but not a lifelong companion. So, if we want to start to transform our lives in this Ramadan, and we are to transform our societies as agents of change, this needs to change. The relationship with Quran needs to be completely different. And let's actually dig deep to figure out, in a nutshell, how can our relationship with Quran be? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Holy Quran, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ. Indeed, Quran guides to what is the most just and upright. So the Quran here is not just for Ramadan, it's not just for reading, it's not just for praying with, it's a guide for every moment of our lives. And if we truly believe in following such a guidance, our personal and societal problems would need to be resolved or will be resolved by Quran. The second here is when our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, when she was asked about the character of the Prophet ﷺ, she responded, his character was the Quran. So the Quran wasn't just something that the Prophet ﷺ recited. Like the Quran was a true life companion for the Prophet ﷺ. It was a book that he lived. If we claim to follow the Prophet ﷺ, do we embody the teachings of the Quran the same way that he did ﷺ in our daily lives? So the third thing here, we know that Quran will intercede on behalf of the reciter. So the Prophet ﷺ told us in Sahih Muslim, in the hadith narrated by Imam Muslim, that recite the Quran, for it will come as an intercessor for its companions on the day of judgment. And we know in the other hadith that Siyam, both fasting and Quran, will intercede on behalf of every servant in the day of judgment, or like the servant obviously that used to have a strong relationship with both of these amazing acts of worship. So are we treating Quran as a friend, or we are treating him as a neglected guest? So under which circumstances we are to treat Quran as a guest like this? So look at Umar radiallahu anhu, for example. Look at how he was transformed completely with the Quran. Look at how he was completely reshaped from one of the strongest enemies of this religion to one of the strongest opponents of the religion, just because Quran did penetrate his heart. So now we ask ourselves, okay, how can we tangibly change ourselves, transform ourselves in Ramadan through the Quran? First and foremost, try to read with understanding and read quantities. So read quantities with understanding. Ramadan is the month in which the entire environment, Allah made it easy for you to establish that strong relationship with Quran. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The month of Ramadan in which Quran started to be revealed. So don't just recite, reflect on the meanings. Pick one verse daily and try to ask yourself, how can I apply this verse in my life? So number two, implement the teachings of the Quran on an ongoing basis. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Holy Quran, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ? Do they not reflect on the Quran? أم على قلوب أقفالها, or their hearts have locks on them. So the point here is you need to be able to think about the Quran to implement it, not to think about the Quran for the purpose of just a mind game, or for the purpose of saying like impressing yourself with its magnificence or anything like this. No, Quran is a guide to our lives, so we need to like implement Quran. So today, like, try to establish some sort of a process where every day I'm picking one character of the Quran and I'm trying to implement it, whether it's kindness, patience, charity, whatever like you like. And the third one here is make Quran part of your daily routine. And this is again because we all tend to be busy, we all tend to forget. However, if you know that at this specific time of the day, fixed time for reading Quran or memorizing Quran and so on, just minutes every day, but set it in your schedule exactly as you have a meeting on your calendar. If you are in the professional world, same, do the same, like devote some time which is well known every day, and under any circumstances do not actually leave this time without going through the Quran. So if you want Allah's guidance, stay connected with His words. That's kind of the main theme here. And the Quran is not just for it to be read. It's not meant to be read only. It's meant to be lived. So this Ramadan is the Ramadan in which, inshallah, you and I will change our relationship with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it a companionship rather than a distant relationship, rather than a seasonal relationship, rather than a relationship that goes up and down and that is not that tight. No, make Quran your lifelong guide and make it your lifelong companion. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be among the people of Quran, to be among those that are the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ahlullahi wa khassatuh. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to live with Quran and die with Quran and have the Quran as our companion in the grave and our intercessor in the day of judgment. Allahumma taqabbal minna ya Rabb every single action that we have done in this month and make it solely for your sake. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.